This is Professor Wes Porter, a series called 2 Minutes, talking about evidence essays. I want you to think about evidence essays as a historical portrayal. Essentially, the evidence question, the evidence essay is going to tell you about a trial. Tell you about a trial where witnesses were called and evidence was presented, testimony was elicited. They're going to talk about it from both sides of the case. Prosecutor or plaintiff called their witnesses. The defense attorney may have had a chance to cross-examine. And then at some point, the plaintiff or prosecutor rests, and then counsel for Danny calls their own witnesses. Counsel for the defense calls their own witnesses. It's less important where in trial we are. That's going to be a tip-off as to what objections you may lodge. But instead, if you think about an evidence in that historical way as identifying items of evidence, that's your Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, the biggest dividing feature of an evidence essay. And if you think about it, you're answering the same question all the time. This trial went up and down. What are the items of evidence? What are the viable objections that you should have to those items of evidence as the opponent? What is the proponent's responses to all those objections? And once that objection is before the court, how should the trial court have ruled? Notice that it's in the past tense. They first called Wendy as a witness. Danny's attorney asked Wendy about getting. It's a historical account. So if we look at item of evidence 1, notice it's in the prosecution's case. It's during Wendy's testimony, during the direct, and it has a statement from Danny, I need to get out of here. So we identify that, Danny's statement to Wendy, Roman numeral 1, the item of evidence. We have a topic sentence and talk about what are the viable objections. Here, the opponent may object to relevance and hearsay and 403, and you discuss them, and you discuss the responses, and you discuss all the way to the court's ruling. Move to the second item of evidence. Notice it doesn't matter. Same witness, still Wendy, but a next item of evidence, Roman numeral 2. Counsel's question to Wendy about losing her job. That's your Roman numeral 2. That's your next item of evidence that you have to discuss. And you talk about it as whether it's objection, improper impeachment, objection, relevance. Again, what are the objections? What are the responses, and how would the court rule? And then finally, notice now we're in a whole different part of the case. Prosecution's over. Counsel for Danny, the defense case is on. They call Walter. And so they have a different witness, and we're on direct again. That's your third item of evidence. You discuss the objections to it, the responses to it, and then how the court will rule. You analyze items of evidence in evidence essays as your highest bullet point, as your highest dividing feature. What are the viable objections? What are the responses to those objections? And how would the trial court rule looking back in hindsight?